And a very happy Thursday to you at 12:09 in the West. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show, broadcasting live from the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Living Room Studios. Mr. Randy Wangs at the sports desk in Culver City.
John, the Hollywood strikes roll on. The WGA and SAG-AFTRA still on strike with the AMPTP. Fran Drescher, the president of SAG-AFTRA, sat down with the Associated Press to give an ominous warning to the producers to get back to the negotiating table or things aren't going to go well for them.
I don't think anybody that's in charge at the AMPTP quite understands that this is not like any past negotiation. We're in a whole new ballgame. And if things don't change radically, quite frankly, I think that they're going to ultimately get very hurt by this strike.
Did someone shoot her with a tranquilizer gun before they put her out on television?
Well, I think this was recorded for the paper, but they put a video out of her responses. So we didn't get the high-energy Fran that we know and love.
I cannot believe it, quite frankly.
But we did get it, quite frankly.
She's a half of Cecily Maillard Cruz when she's in front of a live audience. 800-222-KABC is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. We've got a big show for you today, the Fix California Hour, coming up after the news at 1. Our pal Susan Shelley joins us. And we also have some sound for you from the LA City Council meeting where they voted to ratify the new contract for the police officers that serve and protect the city of Los Angeles. And there was some bonkers sound associated with that. We'll have that for you coming up also in the Fix California Hour. But first, last night was the first debate in the 2024 GOP primary. And I've got to tell you, it was apropos that the Republicans had their first debate on the same day that Mike Trout was put back on the injured list for the Angels. Because I'll tell you, I share season tickets to the Angels with some friends and coworkers. And when the Angels are playing well and Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani are on the field, everyone wants to go to the games. They want to see Showtime. They want to see Mike Trout, arguably the two best players in professional baseball. Now, it was announced last night that not only is Trout going on the injured list, it used to be the disabled list, but for some reason the word disabled was canceled. Why, I don't know. But Shohei Ohtani also injured himself, and he will not be pitching the rest of the season.
Oh, boy.
Which means it's going to be impossible to get anyone to go to the Angel games with me. Because no one wants to show up and see a bunch of nobodies. No one especially wants to go and see a bunch of nobodies who are going to lose to the Oakland A's. It's just something that people don't have any interest in. Last night, when the Republicans all went up there on the stage and started debating all the big issues facing the country, there was two people of note missing from that stage. First and foremost was Larry Elder, who qualified to be on that stage, but Ronna McDaniel screwed him over by being fast and loose with the rules. So Larry didn't make it on the stage.
In fact, they banned his campaign from the building.
Yes, and they put up this sheet. I don't know if you saw the sheet of paper where they had pictures like their wanted signs in the post office of all of these people that you weren't supposed to allow in the building. And there were some Trump surrogates on that list. I think some Vivek surrogates on that list. And then it just said Larry Elder with no picture. So apparently Ronna didn't even allow Larry in the building. The other individual was Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is leading this race by 50 points, according to the last poll that I saw, which means the Republican primary is not particularly competitive right now, and he is likely to be the Republican nominee. So if you take Donald Trump out of the mix and you only have the candidates who are at a minimum 50 points behind the front runner, you have a lot of people who aren't going to win bupkis, by the time we start voting. That being said, these candidates are auditioning for a number of things. First and foremost, Donald Trump is an old man. Donald Trump is almost 80 years of age. He's also tall. He's also overweight. And tall people who are overweight typically don't make it that far. So we could wake up on any given day, throw on our bathrobe, walk out to the end of our driveway, pick up the newspaper, and see the headline that Donald Trump stroked out. In which case, the Republicans are going to need another candidate. And they're not going to want someone who hasn't gone through the rigors of a presidential race before. They're going to want someone who has done this before and has the muscle memory to compete in a national race. The other thing is that Donald Trump is eventually going to have to pick a running mate. Mike Pence, who was his vice president last time around, is clearly not Donald Trump's favorite person. That means Donald Trump is going to be kicking tires on any number of candidates who could potentially be his running mate. Historically, the pool of people that candidates choose from for their running mate are people who ran against them and lost. That's what happened with Biden. He picked Kamala Harris. We've seen it before. Al Gore ran for president and lost before Bill Clinton picked him to be his vice president. Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush had a very contentious primary in 1980. George H.W. Bush, of course, was the one that came up with the term voodoo economics, but they kissed and made up, and they became a team for the November ballot. So a number of these candidates last night, while they say they're running for president, are actually running for vice president. There are other consolation prizes that exist for candidates who run for president and lose. You could end up being a cabinet secretary. You could end up being an ambassador. You could end up with your own television show on Fox. There are any number of possibilities that would improve the lives of these candidates. There is literally no downside to running for president. Look at the Democrat side. Marianne Williamson has now run for president twice. If she didn't run for president and get up there on that debate stage, my guess is you people wouldn't even remember that she was out hawking crystals. But by appearing on television in these debates, she gets bookings, she gets to give speeches, she gets a platform in front of live audiences, and it raises her profile so if and when she decides to do something else in the future, she has a platform to do so. A number of those candidates on stage last night were running for a consolation prize. What surprised me from last night's debate was who irritated me and who didn't. I assumed that Chris Christie would irritate me the most. I used to like the guy a lot. Now, I got to say, I don't like the cut of his jib. And Chris Christie is running in this race not to win, not to be the vice president, not to be a cabinet secretary. He's running out of spite. Remember when OJ first joined Twitter and he put up a video? A lot of people were curious as to why OJ would be on Twitter. And he said, I'm on Twitter because I've got some getting even to do.
What's going on, America?
And then his probation officer called him and said, Juice, that's probably a violation of your probation. You may want to take that down. But Chris Christie is essentially the O.J. Simpson of this race. He is only running for president because he has some getting even to do. He and Donald Trump don't get along anymore. They used to get along. They don't now. And so he's running to be a thorn in his side.
Well, and that was really evidenced last night by, I don't know if you saw this moment. This was a pretty poignant moment from Chris Christie last night on the debate stage. You believe he said that?
You know, he was more articulate in that clip you just played than what I remember from the debate last night. But it wasn't Chris Christie that irritated me the most. Then you've got Vivek, who spent, I think, most of the time talking last night. He was the one that absorbed all the heat. Everything last night went through him. And he is essentially running to be a Trump surrogate in the November election. So anyone who had a problem with Trump took it out on him, and he was happy to give it right back to him. He got into it with Nikki Haley, and a lot of people are comparing their exchange to the exchange between Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota, and Mayor Pete, who is now the Secretary of Transportation. But the one that irritated me the most was Nikki Haley. And I've got to say, I don't know what it is about her, but I just really don't like her. She seems like someone who would be an unbelievable scold to be around. She started wagging her finger and lecturing everyone about how we're spending too much and we need someone who would cut back on the spending and get the Congress in line. And then she was bragging about how much we were spending in Ukraine and implied we needed to spend more. And I was thinking to myself, what is it? Something like 3% of our overall military budget is going to Ukraine right now, and she wants to spend more? Where do you think that money comes from? It's not like we're all the Mega Millions winners and it's coming from the lottery. That money's all coming from tax dollars. If you spend the money on Ukraine, you're still spending money. So don't say that we're spending too much and your solution for that is to spend more somewhere else. That part irritated me. I don't like her. I thought Ron DeSantis had a pretty good night. I assumed at the beginning of the debate that most of the candidates would be attacking him because he's polling the best of those who participated at the debate, but they largely laid off him, and he pretty much just stuck to his platform. So he didn't cause any damage to himself, and I don't know if he did himself any favors, but he certainly told us what he thinks about all of the subjects that they discussed. Mike Pence also irritated me last night. Mike Pence looks like a candidate who should be running for office in 1996. The subjects that he's very passionate about, that he really cares about, don't seem to be relevant in 2023 America. To my eye, the top three subjects in the country are crime, immigration, and inflation. Those are the subjects that I wanted to hear about. Because if your dollar doesn't matter, if you get hit on the head when you're at the mall, and if we have no control over the southern border and it's causing cities like New York City to claim that they're going to be insolvent as a result, those are serious problems. And you better have answers for those problems, because if you don't, those problems are only going to get worse. But the moderators last night, for whatever reason, focused on subjects that I just don't have any interest in. They talked a lot about Ukraine. They talked a lot about climate change. They talked a lot about Donald Trump. They talked a lot about subjects that don't have anything to do with the pressing problems, at least as I see it. And because of that, when you limit someone's ability to even weigh in on whatever the subject is, where it's 45 seconds and then the easy bake oven goes off and the bell starts ringing, and then if you don't stop talking, they all jump on top of you like it's some game of, I don't know, you're a running back with the football, you don't really learn much. And without Trump there, there's not the usual drama that we're used to. These debates, if you go back before 2016, they were largely pretty boring affairs where everyone gets huffy with one another. Everyone's typically passive-aggressive and not overtly aggressive. And it's like watching a high school debate class, only with adults participating instead of children. But when Trump got in there, man, it was like reality television.
I mean, you got everything you ever wanted for that you didn't even know that you wanted, which was people trashing Rosie O'Donnell.
That's right. I remember watching that first debate when he trashed Rosie O'Donnell, And I remember thinking to myself, we as a country do not deserve this. We have not been that good. I don't know why the Lord is smiling upon us and giving us insult comedy related to Rosie O'Donnell in a presidential debate. But man, was that fun. And you know what? When people are going at it like that too, you can't really do a pre-programmed response because you don't know where the conversation is going. So you just have to talk. And part of the reason why I learn so much more from interviews, when a politician comes on this show, I feel like I learn something from them. Maybe it's something I like, maybe it's something I don't like. But if you notice, Randy and I don't interrupt people often. We ask them a question and we let them talk. I don't really ask any trick questions. My attitude is this. People are perfectly willing to tell you what they believe in. You just have to let them do it. People aren't shy about saying what they believe if you give them the opportunity. But in those forums, when everyone is supposed to give a canned response, you really don't learn a lot. At least when Trump is up there and everyone goes off script, you kind of get a good feel as to what type of person they are. How do you handle high-pressure situations? How do you handle it when someone's badgering you? How do you handle it when the topic isn't exactly what you thought it was going to be? I prefer that. I like those debates much more than the debate that we saw last night. That being said, if I had to pick a winner, I would say the winner is probably Trump because no one said anything on that stage last night that's going to change the fact that he's got a 50-point lead. And if you've got a 50-point lead and no one is doing anything that's going to change that, you win. It's as simple as that. Now, where the others stand on the list, maybe one leapfrogs someone from 4th to 3rd, maybe someone leapfrogs someone from 6th to 5th. That's all possible, not that it matters. I do not know why that governor from North Dakota who screwed up his Achilles tendons were there, and I don't know why Asa Hutchinson from Arkansas was there. They both seem like they wandered into the wrong room. You ever done that at a hotel before? When you have all of the reception rooms having different events going on, and you're supposed to go to the Smith wedding, and you end up in the Lipschitz bar mitzvah instead? I've done that before. Those two look like they wandered into the wrong room. And they didn't know why they were there, and neither did the moderators. But you need 3% to make it to the next one, so my guess is that's the last time you'll ever see those two. So, I know that many of you watched the debate last night. Many of you have a lot of strong opinions. You have strong feelings on what you saw. I want to know, who did you like? Who did you not like? What did you think about Trump not being there? Give us a call. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you missed yesterday's show where we gave you a preview of the debate last night, you want to go back and see if we were right with our predictions, that's easy to do.
That's right. Go to KABC.com, click on podcast, go to the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify, search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe, or search for The John Phillips Show on YouTube, subscribe to the playlist there. You can go back in time and pretend that you thought Larry Elder was actually going to make it on that stage.
I have very good information that says at least 10 of you watched the debate last night. So I want to know, what did you think? Who were the winners? Who were the losers? Who impressed you? Who irritated you? What did you think about Trump not being there? I want to hear from you. I want your reaction to last night's debate. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's begin with Ron in Huntington Beach. Ron, you're on KABC. Hello.
Hey, thank you, John, for taking my call. So, John, are you there?
Yeah, what'd you think?
So, John, I didn't really care if Trump was there or not. That way we could see what the others had to say, because we already know what Donald probably got to say. so we were able to see what's going to happen with the other people. I know this. DeSantis, Tim Scott, and Vivek are my favorite. All the other ones, in my opinion, are rhinos. I don't know a lot about politics. I've only learned from like you and Randy. I drive a lot, so I listen to you guys every day, and I've picked up a little bit. And I think my gut feeling is right when I say this. But just look what DeSantis did with Florida. I don't care if he's failing in the polls. That's enough for me. Out of all the states in the union, he's done the best job. That's all I need to hear. But here's the bottom line, John. My biggest concern is that the Democrats are going to steal every election, and we're never going to get another shot at this ever because they're so bloodthirsty, evil, and hungry. They're so drunk on power. I'm really, really concerned because I can see what they're doing. A lot of people can't because they're idiots or they're busy. But I don't know what to say. I don't know.
What did you think about the guy on the end, the governor from North Dakota who tore his Achilles tendons? And do you think he had more drugs on him last night than Hunter Biden?
Which guy was that?
The guy on the end, the North Dakota governor.
Doug Burcham.
Oh, I didn't really. I only saw part of it, so I didn't really pay a lot of attention to him. So I'm only concerned with Trump being my number one, but DeSantis, Vivek, and Scott. I didn't care. The rest are rhinos, in my opinion. And the ones I don't know about, I don't really have. There's not a lot there that I understand about. I don't know their past. Going forward.
All right. Well, thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it. Tearing your Achilles tendon, Randy, is one of the most painful things you can go through. I have not torn my Achilles tendons. I've had severe tendonitis in both of them. And let me tell you, that is such a sensitive part of your body. If someone merely touches them, you hit the ceiling. I can only imagine what kind of narcotics that guy was on last night.
Well, and especially when you're on stage like that and you have a podium that you're not used to, you know your knee's going to bang into it at least 5 times during the night.
Well, and you have to stand up there for like 2 hours, too.
They gave him the good stuff.
I felt sorry for that man. Let's go to Sally in Irvine. Sally, you're on KABC. Hello.
Thank you. Hello there. Well, I was glad that Trump was not there. At least we got a little decorum. If he had been there, it'd been another food fight as usual. So I was really glad because we got a little bit of a debate on issues, which is what the Republicans have. They have the issues. They know the issues. And I think that the first caller there, I think he's right. DeSantis is not going to be the showman. He's like Reagan, I think. He's got a good sense of humor. He can handle himself, but he's not going to be a showman. He just gets the job done. And I agree that his work in Florida, that proves that he's a leader and a young man who's got a good future ahead of him. It also shows that he's not adept at debate. He was under polished, and Vivek showed that he was not used to debate. He was over. He was over the hill, or not over the hill, over the bar, trying to impress everybody. I like he's got a lot of common sense and so forth, but I think he's too young. And Nikki Haley, I think, said it to him properly. She said, "You don't know foreign policy," and it shows. So I think the debate was great. I'm glad I watched it. I'm looking forward to the next one. And I think that we saw, too, that Chris Christie, as much as I have favored him in the past, he's part of the old guard. He tried to throw some arrows in the beginning. He got shut down from that, and Vivek then behaved himself a little bit better. I like it that we had some decorum. And as much as I believe that Trump was a good president, he's not a good politician. He's not a good person in that office. And I'm glad that he was not there. I hope that I don't want him to be in jail. I think that's an unfair thing. But I would like to see him hand over the reins to some of these young people who have proven qualities.
All right. Thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it. We're taking your reaction to last night's presidential debate at 800-222-KABC. Let's begin with Ken in Los Angeles. Ken, hello.
Hi, John. First, a shout-out to my hippie friend Al, beautiful boy Flower. So now here are my reactions. First of all, DeSantis, I think, was the big winner. All he had to do was come there, not flub, make a few big scores, which he did. I think he was overmanaged and overly coached, and he was a little stiff, and he was told to emote, and he was a little too expressed a little bit too much emotion. I think that it was really fun. I don't like Chris Christie at all. He's a real liberal Republican, but it's fun to have a 400-pound bouncer at a debate. What I do like about him is anything will come out of his mouth at any time. I was just worried that his meal would come out too, but anyway. As far as Vivek Ramaswamy, he is a ball of fire. I'm not endorsing him, but he was a winner too. He's not afraid to speak his mind, and he scored some points. He got beat up, but you know what? He didn't fall down. I think the two big losers were Pence. Pence has no political instincts, and he's got to go home. And then Asa Hutchinson, who is just, to me, repugnant. He's got to go. As far as Doug Burgum, the result of the debate with Doug Burgum is you still have to Google him to find out who he is. He's a Midwest nice guy. I'm worried that he's not going to be strong on the culture issues. And as far as Nikki Haley, she's a neocon, a forever war. Spend more on wars that will never end. I don't like her, but I think that she will have raised her popularity a little bit because she had a strong showing. And Tim Scott, nice guy, good man in politics. When people say there are no good politicians, you point to Tim Scott and say, yeah, there are. But he'll be a cabinet secretary. As far as going back to Vivek, he's not running for vice president like Governor Newsom is not running for Democratic nomination. Vivek wants to be vice president.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it. Let's go to Sunny in Oceanside. Sunny, you're on KABC. Hello.
Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call. I want to let you know that I went to school with Doug Burgum.
Oh, the governor of North Dakota.
You betcha. You betcha. I'm a North Dakota kid, and Doug was undergrad at North Dakota State University, sometimes called the Alabama of the North because of its very hardcore football team. But Doug he's the real deal. He really is, and I'm not paid to say that. Doug has always been on the edge. He is always that fearless dude. When he was going to school at NDSU, his side gig was cleaning chimneys as a chimney sweep, and he came in with a top hat and tails. I mean, so he's always been out there. But what I think
I wonder if he's going to get Dick Van Dyke's vote.
But what I'd like you to know about Doug is, this is just my theory. The guy's worth $1 billion. You know that, right?
Yeah, he's a rich man.
Yeah, he was at the right place at the right time for software development. He developed something called Great Plains Software. Brilliant like that.
So he can have the really high-end knee replacement.
Yes, he can. The deal is, you were talking about the meds. I got to tell you, you guys, he's maybe taking Tylenol. That's the kind of guy he is.
Well, let me tell you, with that kind of money, not only can he play basketball with a hitch in his giddy up, but he can eat like Chris Christie because he's rich enough to buy one of them baboon hearts.
You guys are merciless, but I will tell you, there's this weirdness of being an upper Midwesterner. They're hardy, they're real, they're second generation of the new country. And when he ran for governor in 2016, that guy made good on his promise. He went to every single one of the counties in North Dakota, and there's 53 of them.
I think you got a text.
Some of them only had two. Some of them, some of them always.
No, that bell means your time is up.
People. Oh, sorry, dude. Okay, great. Well, thanks, you guys.
All right.
This is the real deal, and look for more in the future. I think he's the real deal.
Thanks for the
talk
call.
To you later, y'all.
I appreciate it.
That is the best North Dakota accent. Don't you know?
Right now, we're taking your reaction to last night's presidential debate at 800-222-KABC. Let's begin with Angela in Ventura. Hi, Angela.
Try a different one.
Okay, let's go to Michelle in Mission Viejo. Michelle, you're on KABC.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Okay, so I have to say I'm disappointed in every single one of them. And the reason why is they are still not addressing, as a Republican Party, that the election was rigged. If we know that big tech, pharma, everybody was suppressing all kinds of information, how in the world was it not a stolen election? And until we address that, we're not going to move forward as a country. And I'm so sick of it, of them not addressing it. The Democrats will go after us and address every single thing and hold us to the mat, but we sit there with our hands in our pockets and let them run away with this and just look the other way. And I'm sick of it. So they all need to be ashamed of themselves.
Did you watch the Tucker interview with Trump? Because he talked a lot about that subject.
I started watching it this morning, but here in our community, we had that awful, awful shooting very, very close to my home. And that's all I can do this morning was just look at that and just make sure that friends were okay and stuff, because it's really close to home. That Cook's Corner is an incredible bar that we go to, very nice, and I can't even think straight today because it's such an awful situation. So, no, I haven't finished watching. I only got about 5 minutes of it, but I will watch it.
So sorry to hear that. Yeah, total tragedy, and the details are just really, really sad. But thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it. Let's go to Mark in Long Beach. Mark, you're on KABC. Hello.
Hi, John. Hi, Randy.
Hi.
Yeah, John. Yeah, hi. I like that one synopsis of what that caller gave like 2 calls ago. My God, he might as well have been on the damn panel. Jeez. But anyway, my comment is, my wife and I listen to you guys religiously, and to be honest with you, I want anybody but Trump. I'm sorry, but the drama that he's going to create, he's not going to be a president. He's going to be a vengeance. He might as well have a black cape on, because he's going to just...
I think he's selling an NFT with that.
Yeah, exactly. My God, he's that conversation that he had with Tucker. He's going after everybody except his wife, and I don't even see her any longer on this, and out there. So
they've got a body double for her.
Yeah, that's right. A good-looking one, I hope. But I am totally disgusted with this whole thing, and I saw the debate last night, and Vivek was great, I thought, and DeSantis he's like a ship that is steady as hell, but he doesn't do much. But anyway, I'm really serious. I want anybody but Trump, and I'm not going to vote for a Biden or a Democrat. Believe me, that's not my issue. I just don't want to see Trump. We don't need another 4 years of the vengeance trail.
All right. Thanks for the call, Mark. I appreciate it. Renee in Los Angeles. Renee, you have about 60 seconds. Hello.
Hi. I'm really upset at the fact that Larry Elder was not on the debate. He's got a lot of good things to say. I've been listening to him for the last 20, 25 years, and I think he would have struck a nerve with everybody else, because he would be coming in like the outsider, as did Trump a couple of years ago. Also, all those other guys, all those other Republicans that were on that debate stage just sounded like the same old Republicans from years past. Just like that lady said earlier, they just stand up there, and the only time they say anything or mean to say anything is when they're on a debate stage. Other than that, they got their hands in their pockets. And it ticks me off to no end that Larry Elder was not there. I think the rest of the country would have been greatly surprised and impressed by Larry Elder if he would have been on that stage, because he's going in there with maybe nothing to gain or nothing to lose, but he would have said what he means what he says, and he says what he means. And I think the nation was deprived of that last night.
Absolutely. He should have been on that stage. He qualified to be on that stage, but the RNC wouldn't let him. All right, we've got 2 more hours coming up on the John Phillips Show. The Fix California hour is next. Susan Shelley, my colleague from the Southern California News Group, joins us. Don't you go anywhere. This is Talk Radio 790 KABC.
I'll be back. Get out.